Suturing for FLS, a practical tutorial. The American Board of Obstetrics and Gynecology announced in January of 2018 that FLS will now be a requirement for board certification. The objective of this video is to demonstrate 2 of the 5 FLS manual skills, extracorporeal and intracorporeal knot tying. This video is targeted not only towards learners but also teachers who now must train residents for this test. To start, it is essential to learn how to load a needle laparoscopically. Start by grasping the suture at its stiffest part within 1 centimeter of the needle. We'll call this point 1. The needle should be in a smiley face direction to then introduce the needle into the box. Once inside, my left hand will then grasp the needle towards the tip of the needle. We'll call this point 2. My right hand can then load the needle at a perpendicular angle at about 2/3 of the needle. We'll call this point 3. Once loaded, the needle is then driven through the tissue with the same wrist-like motion just like in open surgery. Lastly, the needle is retrieved with the left hand. One challenge is loading the needle at a perpendicular angle. The right hand can rock the needle back and forth to adjust the needle to the desired plane. One trick is that when the light hits at about 2/3 of the needle, this shine of light can sometimes indicate the correct plane to load the needle at a perpendicular angle. Another challenge can be grasping the needle at point 2 in mid-air. One tip is to rest the needle against the block to stabilize the needle in order to load it. Extracorporeal knot tying. The task starts when any instrument is seen inside the box. The first half of the task is the same loading of the needle, driving through the tissue, and retrieval of the needle as just discussed. The right hand grasps the suture and pulls the needle out. It is important not to separate the Penrose drain from the suture block, as this is an automatic failure of the task. Once out of the box, the ends of the suture are pulled to the same length. The needle can be left on for efficiency as cutting it off takes extra time. Here a two-handed knot is demonstrated. One challenge is the suture slipping from the left hand holding both ends of the suture as the right hand pushes down the knot. To maintain tension, one end can be looped once around the index finger to prevent slippage. The open-ended knot pusher is held like a pencil at its end and pushes off of the knot, not directly on the knot. The index and middle fingers are opened to create a resting point for the open-ended knot pusher. An almost 90-degree angle can be seen as the knot pusher pushes on the top suture off of the knot into the box. The knot pusher can be held in the right hand for efficiency. Another knot is thrown. Again, one end can be looped around the index finger, and if needed, the other end can be looped once around the ring finger to maintain tension and prevent slippage. 3 throws of the suture are required. Again, it is important to push off of the knot and not directly on the knot. The task ends with cutting both sutures. The scissors can be placed down the same port. Intracorporeal knot tying. The first half of the task is the same loading of the needle, driving through the tissue, and retrieval of the needle as previously demonstrated. Once the left hand retrieves the needle, the right hand should load the needle immediately at point 3. The right hand will now turn the needle clockwise to form a rainbow direction of the needle. At the same time, the left hand will be pushing the suture through to form a short tail. This allows for a C-type configuration of the suture. The left hand can now make 2 wraps around the suture, always in an under-over motion. The left hand will now grab the tail. Once grasped, it is very important to pull just with the right hand to keep the tail short. The needle is then rotated counterclockwise in the right hand to a smiley face direction. The left hand then takes the needle at point 2. The right hand can nudge the suture to make the same C configuration of the suture in the opposite direction. The right hand now wraps under and over once. Both ends can now be pulled with both hands to opposite directions to cinch down the knot. The right hand now takes the needle at point 3 and rotates clockwise to make a rainbow again. The left hand can push the suture to form the same C configuration to then wrap under and over for the last time. Both hands are then pulled upwards to grab both sutures with the left hand. The task ends when both sutures are cut. When wrapping the suture, avoid making big circles. Instead, make small circles near the tips of the needle drivers. After the first throw, if each end is pulled with both hands, the tail ends up being too long, which can make wrapping very difficult. In conclusion, suturing for FLS requires practice and repetition.